the nature and philosophy of language is very important to this entire enterprise.
Yeah.
You said that words are the wardrobe of the soul.
Yes.
That's obviously a metaphor, right? Something I'm very deeply fascinated by. I'm writing a long essay right now that metaphor is much more than what we think it is. It's much more than just a linguistic device. I think it's actually a conceptual device.
Yeah.
By which we think of one thing in terms of another thing. Like we look at something that we don't understand in terms of something that we do understand to try and gain a deeper understanding of the thing we don't understand.
Absolutely.
So can we dig into that metaphor a little bit? Like when you say words are the wardrobe of the soul, like what is it about, I guess, wardrobes or clothing that makes that such an apt metaphor for the nature of language?
Again, I think using the example of the bottle of water, right? Like we can understand that water will take on the shape of the container.
Yeah.
So if we look at water synonymous in this case with the soul that really can take on any shape, then I would assert that language is what determines the shape. So I was just working with a client/friend recently who she's going through some stuff with her partner, and I've helped them with regards to what they're working on. And I left a message for her voicemail. She'd left something they were struggling with. And she said, wow, as you spoke, she said the image, to your point about, it doesn't have to be language, but it's programming and visualizations can be a form of programming. She said, I felt like I was one of these wine barrels. And she said, and all those metal rings started to just crack and they burst. And she said, that was the amount of freedom and expansiveness that I started to feel. So she's using words to describe the image, but for her, words were redundant. She had the image, and that gave rise, it elicited the feeling, right? So that is where we are ultimately looking for a feeling, right? If you were to go up to anyone on the street, especially as this is your domain of expertise, and say, you've got one wish, what are most people going to wish for, right? It's in the realm of money, right? Most people are going to say, I want $1 million. Which nowadays, it's so redundant because it ain't much, right? Especially this day and age with the fact that they keep printing it. Anyway, that's the domain. So, but here's the rub. Again, it's a lie. Because if you gave them $1 million and you locked them in a car, or you put them under the stairs, and they'd be miserable. But why are you not happy? That's what you said you wanted. So do you see, people are actually always speaking ultimately to an experience they want. They want a feeling. Right. So it's what the $1 million in this case represents, because even in this case, if you were to then continue the conversation, say, have you ever had $1 million? Most people can say no. Okay, well then how do you know that's what you want? So you see, it's interesting, right? You're actually appealing to the fact that they, through intuition, imagination, and whatever they've got.
Or imitation.
They're under the impression that that's going to give them something that they feel
they're lacking.
But they have to feel it in order to know that that's what they're pursuing.
Right.
So here's the rub. They already have what they're looking for. They're just under the impression, which is the illusion of time, that they can't access it now until circumstances change.
Right.
That's a victim mindset. I'll be okay when.
Right.
And in most cases, my husband, my wife, my mom, my dad, if they change, I'll be fine.
Right.
But now you're at the mercy of other humans and circumstances, which, as I said, is you're basically at the effect of life. And what I'm introducing people to, at least as a consideration, as a possibility, is to be the person who is actually creating your experience, regardless of the circumstances of your life. That starts to dabble now with power, and what I would assert is true success, because I've worked with multiple billionaires that I wouldn't say are successful, but they have a lot of money.
Right.
Because to me, success is synonymous with peace.
Right, okay.
True success is somebody who's at peace. To be at peace, you have to recognize, first of all, the constraints with which you are currently bound. Because nobody's happy in prison. Right. Which is really what's happening for people, albeit psychologically. You know, this is the ultimate form of incarceration. There's your own narratives based in negations. So to be at peace, you have to break out of that, which is why I'd say freedom, truth, and peace and love are all sort of bedfellows. They're all synonymous, different words to point to a different experience, which is really, again, I come back to my main product, which is freedom. To be free from the constraints with which you arrived, which if you're an artist or in any industry, is the tapestry upon which you now get to create, versus be it the whim or be it the effect of something that's already there. Right. It's like the great line in the Matrix, right, which I'm sure you've seen. When he goes to see the Oracle and the kids are like, you know, they're sort of moving these cubes. Telekinesis. And then the kid is like bending the spoon. Such a powerful line, because he says, Don't try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Just realize there is no spoon. Now, if you really get that. Right. Because if you think there's a spoon, you've already created reality. And it's you that now you're fighting because you have an understanding of what a spoon is. Now, just take that to everyday life. If you think your spouse, your mum, is a certain way,
right,
even with the best of intentions, I went to this workshop, I read this book, I'm going to help my mum. But you already have an image of who your mum is.
Right.
So you're actually not fighting her, the other being, who's a sovereign entity.
Right.
You're fighting your relationship to her, which is you with you, which creates all the frustration in the world.